Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Thick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Monday edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel, as always, joined by Joel Elconin and Dennis Thick. Hope you guys all had a lovely weekend. We are here with some M&A news on this Monday morning. Comcast won their auction with Fox for Sky. We have Sirius buying Pandora. We have ABX taking out gold. So a lot of M&A to discuss this morning. We also want to talk through the volatility from Friday's close. A few stocks had some pretty interesting moves right around the close. So we're going to talk through that as well. And as always, we'll take your questions in our chats on YouTube and premarket.benzinga.com. Joel, what is the word in the overnight session?
We're trading in the red here by 5 points. Kind of a weak close on that quad witch expiration. Our closing price is 29.32 and a quarter. Let's keep an eye on that. We have not taken that out. Try and go green on the session. Above that, the all-time closing high that was made on Thursday at 39.50. Also with a week after a quad witch, man, you really want to see the market come back and make a new high, or else could be a turning point here after a busy quarter. You have crude. Good news for your long crude. OPEC disagrees on cutting production up $1.26 at 72.04, just off the high of the session, 72.39. Gold getting a little bounce too, but still hanging in that 1,200 to 1,220 trading range. That's up 260 at 1203.90. Silver down just a tad here at 1435, and Bitcoin down 157.50 at 65.70. Dennis, I know it was a long time ago, but let's talk about some of the fireworks on the close from Friday.
Yeah, there was some good movement here. I'm still a little bit under the weather. Almost got rid of this cold here, so still battling a bit, but these things tend to linger on sometimes. Yeah, we saw some fireworks. We saw some big volume. On individual stocks, there was some movement. I can cite you a couple big movers there. Let's go to McDonald's there. On the closing print, if you bring it up, it gapped up $1 on the closing print, which is pretty crazy move for MCD. So it was trading 64.30. And then there has a huge buy imbalance that didn't get paired off, obviously at a great price there. So they had to actually bring it all the way up to 65.30 to close the stock. So gapped up $1 on the closing print. We also had Verizon and AT&T, both of those wild fireworks. They were looking like they were going to close way up. And then they just came in with some sellers with like 10 seconds to go. And Verizon went from a huge buy imbalance to a huge sell imbalance and turned around and ran from 54.80 down to 54.42. AT&T did pretty much the same thing. It was around 34.15. The buy imbalance flipped to sell, and they sold it all the way down to 33.78. So you saw some movement. It wasn't the craziest close I've ever seen. Big volume, big oscillations in Apple and Microsoft around the close as well. Microsoft ran up and then ended up closing only at 114.26. So where they were indicated was much different than where they closed. But there was some interesting movement.
And you also you had the rebalancing going on at the end of the quarter as well. So that added.
Well, that's what the cause of all of this was.
Yep. Big volume, but not as much movement. The expectations on days like this, when you had the big volume on the expiration, you look for a little bit of reversal. You are seeing that in Mickey D's. Now we're flat on the session. So but you got short on that print.
No, Mickey D's is not flat. That was just an off exchange print. It's down.
Okay. Down what?
These typically give it back. So usually what these things do, they give it back. I'm actually long this thing. I don't want to be long it, but I bought it after hours because it had gapped up and I didn't notice at the time. And I for some reason, didn't get the fade on that closing print. But you could buy it at $64.30 after hours. So I was like trying to sneak out. Couldn't sneak out really after hours. So I still have some this morning. So all I'm gambling is I can sneak out within $1. It's going to come in. It's 165.30. It's a matter of whether I can get out above the 164.30 price. So there's a few people that probably were gambling that after hours. I was one of them.
All right. It gapped up right into a pair of highs that you had from earlier in the month. 65.30 was your high. pair of highs at 65.42 and 65.46. So the DMM took it up to where the liquidity is. That's a big number. We'll keep an eye on if it gets back up there today. AT&T, you said that bounced around pretty good. Yeah, but that's back up, and that gapped up on Friday, and that held it. Seems to be holding the $34 level.
Yeah, let's hold on.
And then Verizon, you said there was some good volume as well. That's trading flat in the session. These stocks, as much as like the XLU and some of these other things in the sector have gotten hit. The TLT seems like T and Verizon have been holding on.
Well, you want to know why?
Yes, I do.
Value investing back in favor the last 2 weeks, and they're going after value stocks. I mean, you've had a rise in Ford. You've had a rise, in GM. Other than Friday, GM has come from 33 up to 36. They were looking at some dividend stocks. They were looking at value. I mean, I have this Cardinal Health. That thing's classic value stock. It's been out of favor, but in the last 3 weeks, it's up 10%. So there is a rotation here that I've noticed. You're rotating in the last at least couple of weeks from growth into value. Now, this obviously continues to cycle. We know overall in the last couple of years, value has been deeply out of favor, but in the last couple of weeks, I would say value stocks have come back into favor.
Wow, Ford has had 8 up days in a row, Dennis. Can you ever say that Ford
is huge for that?
Yeah,
and it's not surprising. Friday, 994, 993. The writing's on the wall there. That's probably going to be your first major resistance point.
Wow. But it's risen nicely, and I think it's like 8 out of 9 too. So Ford on the comeback trail. So nice move in that. And GM just really hasn't got off the mat after its last earnings. That has a nice resistance point too. If you're looking to play this on a breakout, Thursdays and Fridays high right there at 36.45 and 36.49. Maybe a big seller here lurking at 36.50. Before we get to the other news and the crazy stocks, we do have a big move coming here out of AMRN. That's got to be winner chicken dinner here, trading up 300% at 11.88.
Yowzers!
Wow, Spencer, what's the news on that?
Yeah, they had some positive.
Do they do a pot drink?
Yeah, that's funny.
Just joking.
Are you though? Because
well, no, they did a pot drink.
Because it could be
300%. So go. What's the news?
Yeah, they had some news this morning. Gosh, cardiovascular related drug met its primary endpoint.
That's small one-trick ponies. When they work out, this is what you see. So we've talked about this. We saw the opposite. What was the stock on Friday that did not work out with the one-trick pony?
Oh boy.
What was it? Come on, chat. I don't have my sheet from Friday.
GITX? Was that it?
What was that?
Was it GITX?
It was GTX. GTXI.
Come on,
GTXI.
Chat, help us out.
Chat, they're sleeping.
Went down 90% on Friday.
It was GTIX.
It was GTXI. I already said it.
GTX.
What is it?
GTXI.
GTXI. Well, Joe told the right letters. Oh yeah, so there it is, down to $1.80. So didn't come back. I had a little bit of a pre-market short squeeze cover in there, or not short squeeze, but short covering as they were all reaping in their profits.
Right.
On 210, 229, but then started leaking. We did say Stiefel came out with a note and said that they thought book value, or they thought they'd cash a $2. And then Lobster was saying book value $1.69 on it. So we're in that range. It's funny how these things can work out like that. But GTXI, this is the opposite story of what we're seeing today in today's stock, which is AMRN, which is obviously gapping up 300%. So that's why some of these things, you have diversified portfolios, smaller biotechs. You'll have, like, if you have 20 of them in there, probably 17 of them will go to zero on you, but 2 or 3 could make that portfolio happen.
You got a nice level to take a look at. Your pre-market high was 12.49. This hasn't been in the $12 handle. You need to go all the way back to the end of 2012, and I'll just give you the range of 3 monthly highs here was from 12.46 to 12.96. 12.49 is your pre-market high. We've backed off 75 cents on that. If you're getting aggressive, going with the trend, buying the open here, you want to see it just cut through the 12 handle, get over 13 and keep on going. If not, could give some of this back. But so far, holding up only 75 cents off the high of the session. So keep an eye on that one. That's your big mover of the day, up nearly 300%.
I haven't even looked at the big movers here today. Is there anything else that's moving? I saw you mentioned Abbott Labs, which we'll get to in a second here. Is there anything else jumping out at you before, like the smaller stocks having huge moves?
Well, I mean, we could the pot stocks.
Well, I should talk to pot stocks
yeah,
for a minute.
Yep.
I mean, bubble burst. It burst. It started with the Tilray. Obviously, that was the upside capitulation when everybody had to own at 300, and the burst. And now it's taking down all the other ones here too. It took a couple of days here to start taking down the other ones, but they're starting to show some weakness here. I mean, CRON, you're talking about it got up to over 14, almost 15. It did got 15.30. Now you're seeing it 12.20. The NBEV we've talked about a lot in the chat. I mean, that bubble burst too. Maybe it was the maximum downgrade. But for whatever reason, these things go from $2 to $10. Eventually, the bubble's going to burst, and that's what happened. So, is the story over? Still to be determined. But in the short run, I would say yes. I mean, now the question is, you just went $9.99 on Friday. You were over 10 in the pre-market. The thing's been cut in half here in a day. Is it going to be some people lurking below, thinking, hey, there might still be some potential? Maybe. So, at 531, is there an opportunity to come in here on the cheap? It's not for me because I think there's just a lot of risk still. I see the 527 low on the 27th. Let's see what it is that there. That's your first bogey. But then if you go through that, you're at 304 the day before that. I don't think we're getting down to there. I think you'll find some people coming in here now. Let's say $5 because 5 is when securities become marginable in a lot of brokerage accounts. And maybe, you look at this one and say maybe they're going to try to defend this at $5. So I would say if I was short this thing, I would probably be bringing it in here this morning. And I would say if I was looking along, I'd say $5, but that'd be maybe your first potential bounce level. We'll call it 5.
It is 527, and I was hoping it was going to hit that level on Friday, but it didn't. It got to 571. Currently trading at 530, so it's only 3 cents off that, and now not bouncing as of yet. So, boy, big move in this one. I came in partially hedged, and I managed to get the rest of the hedge.
Oh, you're still in that?
Well, not really, because I sold. I was long the 5. I got the same amount of 8 calls off. I got them off the ARC 8 calls when it was trading around 840. And, in Barron's, they talked about, the illiquidity and how crazy the options were. I'll tell you, it started to turn. It went back down, just started to go back down through the open. And I think the spread was like 270 at 330 on it. And I sold, I put my offer in at 3 and I got it done. I split the spread on it. I got it done. And then it was immediately like 250 offers. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to try and leg out of this one a little bit or just take them off at the same time. But was hoping for that 527 low on Friday. Didn't quite get there. Tilray, I don't know where this thing's going to stop on the downside. You're already trading down $16 here.
Well, you came all the way. I don't think you're going to see $100. I think you're going to see $100. Why not?
Did they have any news? Did they, or it's just kind of?
No, it's just it was ridiculousness all around. So everybody who's now bought this thing is getting burned. Now you have overhead supply. Now you have pain. Now you have all the things. Things are going straight up. They've never been there before. Nobody's in pain because everybody's making money. We talked about that 3-4 days ago, which it's hard to short these things when they're going straight up. Not even considering the locate and the other issues. I mean, it's just hard to do because who knows where the top is. And Citron, obviously, we'll learn that the hard way because they started talking about this thing short at 62. It went to 300 in your face. Always easier to short a stock when it starts going down as opposed to trying to call a top. You want to be a hero and call the top and get it right maybe 5% of the time. Those other 95%, it's going to be a very painful lesson. I've learned that the hard way. You taught me that way back in the day, Joel. Selling stocks when they're going down is a lot easier than selling when they're going up short. So that's where, now we're down here at $100. I think it's going to bounce eventually here. I think, $97 a low for the 15th. Yep. We've come a long ways now. I think there's a bounce in here. Do I think Tilray's worth $100? Nope. I think when we look at this 6 months from now, it's probably back at 40 or 50. But I think there's a lot of people who think it is worth more than this. So I think there's a trade in here, and I'll say $97 is as good a level as I can see there.
After hours low.
Maybe I might try it. I might even try it.
After hours low is 101.20. They did this after the close, and just alert here. Someone's bringing in some stock here at 106. Since that 4 o'clock open, that has been your support there. 106, 105, 106, but 97. Now 97 was the low when the government came out and said, if you knew somebody that worked at a pot factory or something, you couldn't come back into the United States. So that was that low on that day. So we could go Friday, so we'll keep an eye on that. And Bev, as you mentioned, at 520 low, not much after that to 307. CRON, the other one that those had moves. It just wasn't quite the parabolic moves. This one you could figure a 50% retracement from 9, let's call it 9 to 15, $12 area. That's 50%. Let's see if it can hang in 12. Your $3 low is 1180. Haven't seen that yet in the pre-market trading.
I mean, there's the other ones too to talk about, which we don't talk about, but the ones in Canada for Canadian traders out there is Afria, which has come down significantly too from its highs, and Aurora Cannabis, which exploded because didn't they say a U.S. listing was coming? Aurora Cannabis, wasn't that the news last week, Spencer, on Aurora? If I'm going from my memory.
Oh,
I don't follow these stocks that closely, but I thought somebody said something about
sometime in October,
and it exploded. It went from like $8 in Canada to $11 in that news. That hey, because we know a lot of these U.S. ones, most of these are Canadian companies, but they got the U.S. full listings going. Those are the ones that are actively traded. So Aurora and Afria kind of been left behind because they don't have the U.S. listings. So everybody hasn't really, been, these Americans that are hungry for pot stocks here that have really exploded these other ones. They don't want to trade these things OTC. They want to trade them on the regular exchange. So when Aurora said that they were going to have that regular move, you can bring it up. It had an absolute explosion in price.
All right. What's that? ABCFF or something like that?
ACB.
I don't even know what the symbol
Yeah,
is
I
here.
know. There's too many symbols. This one's holding up, and compared to the other,
ACBFF.
yeah, ACBFF, and you have some resistance. Your last 3 highs are in the same area from 947 to 970. We'll keep an eye on that. $10 psychological level was your high 1001 in February of this year. So a move above 10, but this one has held up very well, perhaps because of that new listing. So see if it can stay green. Really needs to get over $10 here for another leg higher. Just real quick, there was an IPO just a couple days ago. ELAN, Elanco Animal Health.
That was the Lilly spinoff.
Yep. Dennis, wasn't there a stock, Elon, a long time ago? Was it ELAN or ELON? It was a
What was Elon? What was that? I had it in my portfolio for a long time too. It got taken out, I think.
It was a crazy biotech, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember having it. I think I owned it. Isn't that funny? I think I owned it. I think it actually got taken over. But I can't even remember. It's from quite a few years ago. I'm pretty sure it got taken over. But was it ELAN or ELN? I can't remember. ELAN. Lobster's right. Lobster says it was ELA. Good memory there, Joel. I owned the stock and I remember. I think it got taken over. Lobster, do you have verification? Did that get taken over? Because I feel like I had that in my portfolio and I feel like it got taken over. It was my long-term portfolio. I don't think I wrote it off. That's why I'm thinking it got taken over. So I usually remember my losers. I don't remember my winners. Isn't that funny?
Hey, we got a
Spinner says yes, taken over. So I made money on that one, I guess. Isn't it funny as a trader? You really remember. I don't know. I guess this is me maybe, but I always remember my losers. Like when I do something really dumb, but I don't remember my winners. And it's funny. I was like, Elon, I remember having that, but I don't remember anything about it. And then if I would have wrote it to 0, I would have remembered it the hard way. But anyways, so I guess it did get taken over.
Well, just real quickly here in the chat, Tommy Lackey, who's going to be coming on the show on Friday. He's up bright and early this morning, and you remember that stock on too. We'll talk to Tommy on Friday. Tommy, thanks for joining us in the chat today. Just for this new merger, I would just keep an eye on that closing price that it made the first day at $36. The high was 36.01, sold off a little bit, 34.10 close. That's really the only information you have. 2 days of trading. You're really hard to talk technical on this stock. I will say $34 is, mid-range of the first few days of trading. So let's see if it could hold support there at $32.
ELN, Lobster was saying the symbol was. That's why I did have it right. I said ELN. So anyways, we digress pretty hard on that one. Let's go to Abbott Labs. Good news in Abbott Labs. I still own Abbott in my invest portfolio. I've had in there for almost a decade. I'm sticking with it. Continues to be an unbelievable performer for me. ABT Good
Yep.
news, good drug news. Spencer, you got the details on
Yep,
this?
a landmark study shows treatment with Mitraclip is superior to medical therapy for advanced heart failure patients with significant secondary mitral regurgitation. All that comes out to good news for Abbott Labs, and they're catching some analyst commentary, positive analyst commentary in relation to that this morning.
Stock is breaking through all-time highs here, I believe. I'm just going up to the monthlies. Yeah, easily all-time highs. We're going to try to break through the 70. What I will say is 70 is still a big psychological level. It hasn't traded a ton of volume. It is trading up at 71 right now. Let's see if it can open over 70. If it can, then it is in full breakout mode. But like you pointed out, Joel, the volume is fairly light here. It's bid 70.60 for an odd lot. It's bid 70.50 on the exchange, and then 71.40 offer. So it looks like it wants to be at 71 right now, but it's so early. I think you could see this one open and get held down a little bit. 70 is fairly significant there. So I'm actually thinking this could struggle to open over 70, even though it's trading at 71.
Yeah.
Depends if the volume starts to come in, though.
I mean, this one, when I immediately looked at this one and I looked at it was traded 71.30 or 40 when we started the show, I'm thinking, wow, is there some volume to support this being up there? And so far there hasn't been. We don't know what's in the book here. I mean, I don't know. I mean, some of these big drug stocks, when they move like $2-3, I mean, how many standard deviations move is this for Abbott? I mean, you do have some days where it moves. Sometimes it moves like $2, $3 in an entire month.
It's news. Drug news can move stocks. We know that. I think your argument is really held because that 70 is going to be big. I can see 43,000 shares in the book right now. It's 8:22 in the morning. I also see another 12,069.50. So that's why I think you could struggle to open over 70. You need 50,000 shares worth of volume in the pre-market to take it over 70. That's right now on the amount we see. So like that could grow, and also there could be stuff we don't see on the hidden there as well. So let's say roughly you need 50,000 easily, maybe 100,000. It seems like I trade 5,200. So unless the volume picks up substantially here, I think it struggles to open over 70. Now, regular session volume always, 50,000 is nothing for Abbott, so it could take it out. But this could be one of those opportunities where maybe it opens on the cheap, maybe you get a shot.
Okay, it's just let me ask you this, Dennis. Let's say you took this over for a day trade and you got the closing print 69.05.
Yeah.
Just an overnight scalp, and you see Abbott up $2. I mean,
I'd hit it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's it. We'll see what
I
happens.
agree with you. Big stock, and it's not like it's one little drug, or it's not like it's one trick pony. These big major pharma, when they have drug news, it can move it, but typically it doesn't move it that much. 2-3% is you're looking like a max out move typically here, and we're talking it, and the offers are coming in as we're talking it now because we're kind of talking it down a bit. But I agree, Joel. So
Okay.
I own the thing long term and sticking within the long term investment portfolio, but I wouldn't be paying 71 the pre-market right now. Not when I see the book like that.
All right. So the long-awaited merger of Pandora. Someone is finally taking over Pandora here, Spencer, and it's SIRI. They're doing something with their money. Not SIRI, Sirius.
I think this has been rumored for like 2 or 3 years now, and every 6 months we get another rumor. But this is the day it turns out. So Sirius XM is buying Pandora for $3.5 billion in an all-stock deal. $10.14 is the price they're paying for P.
How much they pay?
10.14
in cash or stock?
in stock.
Okay, so what's the ratio? Do we know the ratio?
1.44.
Okay, so 1.44 times SIRI. I'm writing that down for because I start playing these from a risk arbitrage perspective now. So your risk arb is 1.44 times SIRI. We'll give you the new price of Pandora. How are we doing in the pre-market? We can see from the discount there, because most people come in, they say, oh, it's not trading at the $10 price, but you can't do it that way. You got to use the ratios now, because that's what it is. So go into your calculator and go 1.44 times the current price of SIRI, not where it closed, because it's trading down on this. So you go 6.75. That's where the current bid is, meaning where you could actually hit it as an arbitrage trader. It's 972. So Pandora is trading at 978, which means it's actually trading 6 cents over. So they're actually putting a premium on this thing right now. So if you're wondering why it's not trading 10.15, use the ratio. So 977, so 972 I get for fair value. So risk arbs are pretty good on this one. They got it pretty damn close.
Yeah, SIRI took a little hit off this, down 23 cents at 675. Pretty thick stock. This one does trade a lot of volume. Keep an eye on that pre-market low, 657. Nice area to look at if you're trading this just technically here. Triple bottom at the 660 area. This was back from the end of June. You tested it in the pre-market, so little weak going into this merger here. Under 660, look out. That was your low in the pre-market, and also a triple bottom here from the end of June. So finally, is this? I looked at. I looked to Spotify. I mean, is there any sympathy plays here? Spotify's traded down $1.50. I mean,
Spotify is the only sympathy play. Really.
Is it really?
I would think. I really don't know.
I mean, the premium's crappy though. Like really, the premium wasn't great. Like okay, so they pay like 8-9% over, but that's not like whoa, let's go jump and get all M&A action here in the music companies here because the huge premium being paid. It really wasn't a great premium. I mean, here you are, and if you're banking on this thing for a takeover, you're getting rewarded with 8% this morning. So I don't think it's getting the risk scarabs or the sympathy players all excited here. It's basically what I'm saying.
Somehow the stock traded a 40.44 in March of 2014. That was a little bit after its IPO. So they're selling, but I mean, if overall long-term shareholder in this one, you cannot be too happy about that. But for right now, trading up 69 cents. And this was talked about for so long, too, by I know a couple of the firms just started covering it based on them getting taken out. So letter P going to be off the board. Not sure when, but good luck if you do.
We'll miss you, P.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever traded it. Options or anything.
I've traded P lots of times. I trade P not once a week, but I would say at least once a month. So just depending on the setups and stuff. But it trades, it's pretty thick. So it's kind of, I like the liquid ones when I can get in and out with some size and not have to worry about how much I'm going to impact the price. So I don't mind trading P. I'll kind of miss it. So jump over here. A lot of news here. We got one more merger, though. Might as well do them all.
Yep.
What's the other one?
Barrick Gold and Rand Gold, ABX and GOLD are merging this morning.
Gold merge?
Yeah, right.
Wow. When's the last time that's happened?
Probably out of necessity.
Rand Gold shareholders are set to receive 6.128 new Barrick shares for every Rand Gold.
6.128. I like these risk guard plays, Mr. Israel. These make me money as these deals go. 6.128 ABX equals a gold GOLD. Is that what you're telling me?
That's what I'm saying.
Or is it cash too?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Straight up. So 6.128 will give you your GOLD price. I'll tell you, man. Rand Gold is a stock that I haven't traded gold, I guess, this year very much. Maybe it's because I've been dogging it every show. But last time I traded gold, GOLD, I think it was $100. And here we are. And that it did start the year at $100. So it looks like I didn't trade GOLD all year. Stock is at 68. So, yeah, it feels good to get taken over, but not good to anybody who's bought this thing over the course of the last. Well, let's go to the monthlies. I mean, well, I guess, 2015, 16, we were down here. So we had a big run up in 2016 and then sold off at the end of it and back up in 2017. Anyways, gold stocks are still in the gutter. Even when they get taken over, it's not a great premium.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, look at, far off its all-time high that it made in 2016. But, in the same month that you make a 2.5-year low, you're selling out for that kind of premium. I mean, to me, this just says stay away from gold stocks. I know Barron's had a big article about, hey, maybe time to buy gold. I just flipped right through that one. But selling that ended up in the recycling bin. But no, just the fact that they're selling out, after this extended decline. I mean, they just got to be thinking, their stock price could have been, a lot lower without this merger. Up 437, trading at the highs of the pre-market session. But of course, you got to do your ratio, 68-65. Not sure what they're doing to ABX on this. They like you for ABX here. Can you take out the wall?
Why? Why? Because these things just need synergy right now. They need to cut costs in whatever way they can. So they're going to say the synergies. They need to get that cost of production down because gold. Okay, where are we on gold? 1,300?
Drop $100
or 1,200.
Yeah.
Okay, because I watch the GLD. I don't watch the futures. We know I don't like to pay for futures
I know
quotes
you don't like to pay
because they dig me as a pro. I complain about that all the time. But anyways, futures quotes cost me $600 a month, so I just use the equity quotes. And I got GLD at 113.47, so I don't know what the equivalent of that one was. Regardless, here, I'll just say when I look at this, 1,300. So And let's say the cost reduction, last time I looked at Barrick, I think their cost reduction was like 11 or 11.50. So you're 1,200. So you're dangerously close to, these companies losing money. So they don't want it to see it fall. And if my price projections are correct, because I've been projecting gold to eventually get into triple digits, so under 1,000, I think a lot of these companies are going to be losing a ton of money. They're going to have to bring that cost of production down. So maybe they can with these, where they're doing mergers like this. Maybe they can bring those synergies that come in, and maybe they can bring the cost production down a little bit. I didn't read any details on this, but I would hope that is the reasons behind buying a gold company here.
Wow, I don't know. I mean, you can. I will look at this one. I'll just look at it technically. You're trading up 39 cents here at 10.86, and you had a lot of highs here. Man, you had your last three highs right here at 10.80. Then you had 4 more highs at 10.65, 10.70. Who knows what's lurking at $11 here, but there is a potential breakout here for ABX. You just want to make sure it takes out that size off the open, gets over $11 and keeps on going, and then keep your eye on the ratio for Rand Gold. But maybe, sometimes mergers or things like this do kickstart a sector. Just gold has just been a prolonged downtrend. Trading range.
I just don't see the reason, and that's why, like everybody said, insurance. And I gave you an insurance stock. I like Virtu Financial for my insurance on my portfolio rather than gold. I get a 4.37% dividend, and when volatility goes up, Virtu makes a lot more money. How do I know that? They have a lot of similar strategies that I do. They just got them around. They obviously have different ones too. They have some high frequency ones as well, but they're running some of the same stuff we do. Some stat arb stuff in there too. I understand everything they do. Maybe not everything they do. They've probably got some pretty cool stuff that I don't understand, but I get the business model. And I know when volatility goes up, say VIX goes from, where are we at now in the VIX?
0.
Sorry to interrupt you. We'll take you back here in a second. 12. So we're up at 12 on the VIX. When VIX goes to 20, I can tell you my daily P&L, basically when the VIX doubles, my daily P&L doubles. So my day trading profits double. When the VIX triples, my day trading P&L usually is on average triple. So I'm usually making when the VIX is up at 30, I'm usually making 3 times as more money than I am when the VIX is at 10. And I tell you, Virtu Financial is probably going to be the same way. Why? Because spreads are wider, arbitrage strategy is just making more money. We do a lot of stat arb. They're doing straight up arb, but they're doing stat arb too. And I just think if you're playing it and you're saying, okay, if the VIX starts to rise or we start to get uncertainty, I'm going to make money in gold. I tell you, I'm going to make money in my Virtu Financial. So I like BIRT as my hedge against market trouble more than I like gold.
At $23, that was a high on a gap down day. I don't know if that was related to earnings or whatnot. You've got up there a couple times, but haven't been able to break through. But if you're looking to purchase this one on strength at above $23, you got a nice gap to fill up to 25.15, and but you do need the volatility to come in order to get that stock back over $23. Dennis, we passed the 8:30 mark in the show.
Yeah, let's go look at imbalances.
Yeah, let's see. Do you have a reversal for some of those moves on Friday?
You do on a few. You know what? You have the same ones we keep seeing. GE. When is the last time I saw a buy imbalance in GE in the morning? I was like, it was trading up 3 cents this morning. I thought about just shorting it because I was like, it's bound to have a sell imbalance because it's just the way it works. 160,000 to sell. So, anyways, GE, it keeps trying. It keeps trying to hold on to 12. This looks like it's eventually now going to 11. You've had value stocks coming back into favor. Everybody's been preaching, when they had it on CNBC, and Tim Seymour has been great. Love Tim Seymour, but he was breaking it down how the value of this is $17. He was breaking down a couple months ago. I mean, it's tough. It's been a tough trade, GE. You could say, oh yeah, the value of all the parts maybe is more than this, but they don't care. They hate this company. I still think GE is going to single digits here eventually, so I'm going to stay on the GE bear train. It's 11. I had this in my investment portfolio. This is how much I don't like GE. I had it in my investment portfolio for 15 years. I finally took the loss. That's how much I believe this thing is going down. So, I didn't stick with it and say eventually it's coming back or eventually I'm going to get $17 for the sum of the parts. So this is a broken company that I don't know how the hell they fix it. And I don't think they know how they fix it. So here you've had value stocks come back into favor. And this stock can't even get a sniff. It can't even catch any bid at all, really. So I don't know. If it can't go up when the value stocks start coming back into favor, it's telling me it's going down. JP Morgan lowered the price target a few days ago down to what, 11?
I think so. I think they
Spencer's
did.
got the memory on him.
Yep, he could check on that. I'll just tell you, for you people that do trade GE here, weekday on Friday closed
$10.
$10.
So I'm $9.99 on my price target. So I'm a penny lower.
Street low by Triple D. You're knocking on some major support here. You got to give it a little bit. You had some lows at 12.23, several 12.16 was the low, so you are actually breaching those lows on the daily. There's another one at 12.40. This is just such a slow mover. The low of the move, we'll keep an eye on that 11.94. So keep eye $12. I mean, that's when's the last time? That's since the financial crisis, the General Electric.
We got down to $6, so Warren low, right?
Yeah.
When Warren Buffett bought all that preferred stock and it came back after that. Obviously, I should have sold it when it came all the way back because I had this all through all that pain. I rode it from that, $30 down to $6, back to 30 again. I could have got Synchro to be financial like Warren did, which was a smart thing to do, but I didn't do it. I stuck with the GE. It's the wrong move. And you know what? When you make a lot of investment calls, you make some wrong moves. Sometimes it's just good to admit, move on. And did I write off the GE last year? Is that my write-off still coming? I can't even remember.
You did half.
I did half last year for the write-off, and then I sold the other half this year. So I got a little, nice. You get the little write-off at the end of the year. I need it. I've actually had a pretty good trading year. So.
I think you just held the GE just because it was GE. I wanted
to hold a little piece of it.
Yeah.
And then I just got done. I was trashing on the show every day. I got sick of talking against my book. I got to get rid of this. I don't want to talk. I don't want to trash it even. I just want to keep trashing it. I own the dang thing. So
no more.
Anyway, so I sold it just because I got sick of losing money on it and sick of, trashing a stock that I own.
And what about T? That had, is there anything going on with the imbalances with that trading up 30?
It's T 77,000 to buy. It's going to bounce back. I mean, it sold off for at the end, it was just not, it was trading 34 and a quarter, 20. And then sold off 33.70 just because it had a huge sell bounce and flipped at the close. So it's going to bounce back. It's going to bounce all the way back. I don't know. It's to be determined.
Stargazer, no, Dennis doesn't hold his Tesla anymore. He dumped it at $300. It was taking too much of an emotional toll on
it. It was. It was like 0.5% of my portfolio, like 0.5%, like less than 1% of my portfolio, and I couldn't handle it. I can't handle this Tesla. So it went all down 250 on me. I was eating it on that. I was like, I'm down like 20% on this. Is the worst investment I've ever had. I'm down like 20% in what, 2 weeks? Couldn't have been a worse call. You know what? The market gave me like 3/4 of my money back. I was like, thank you. Loss aversion at its best right there. Psychological finance. Give me my money back. I'll never touch you again.
Man,
but you know what? It's holding up. It's holding up. You know what? Somebody was saying in the chat, they think, this thing could break out. It's not going down. They keep coming out with, different news. Goldman came out with something today too. They said some positive commentary.
They said something positive?
No, I think they just came out and I don't give everything. I think it just said, and I just saw it go by my timeline there. That's why that they might beat on production numbers modestly, but it wasn't very. I think Goldman's still a seller. Are they not?
Yeah,
What's Goldman's rating on Tesla? So it wasn't bullish.
It's still low. I can look it up for you. It's still
what is there?
It's still low. Let me check real fast. Goldman Sachs.
So it wasn't a bullish.
They still have a sell rating, and their price target is 210.
210. So they're still big time bearish on. So they're sticking with it, but I think they just said that it could be in the short term. So anyway, stock actually, that's why it lifted over 300 briefly. It was when that hit the news wire there that Goldman had some positive commentary, but then everybody reads this, wasn't very positive. So it's come back down here again. TSLA. I have a day trade on for TSLA, but I'll be getting out of it at the open.
All right, just a quick check on AMRN. That was a big pop, and Bob, I mean, it's fading off that high, but it's really, I mean, it's still hanging in there at $12. So I don't know. We'll see if you can test that pre-market high. I mentioned that you had a bunch of monthly highs between $12.50 and $12.70, but obviously some stock here. Someone wants out some stock here at $12. So that's the real battleground here in AMRN, AMRN. And what was there? There was another biotech or a stock that jumped up on drug news, and it got nowhere near its pre-market high. Remember what that was from last week?
From last week? Oh,
yeah.
No, there's like for today. I can't think back to last week.
All right, I'll have to start keeping my notes here a little bit better than this. All right, Spencer, where do you want to go next?
Well, we did have a couple of other drug news this morning. I don't know if you want to talk about that. We could talk about Michael Kors. Had an acquisition this morning. They bought Versace for.
Is that public?
Nope. So $2 billion there. It's not really moving on that news at all. We had a couple.
At least we're seeing some M&A action. I mean, it's been quiet.
It has been quiet
for a while. So at least we're starting. These aren't big deals, but at least it's something.
Yeah.
I mean, I make a lot of my money on risk arbitrage. Like, I'm not going to, we know I do stat arb, I do risk arb too. And all risk arbitrage is trading these deal prices against each other. I know a lot of high frequency traders monopolize that, but there's still opportunities here and there, especially when you really get some whipsaw action or get the volatility higher. And I've always done very well trading, risk arbitrage. So over the course of my 18-year career, I'd say a good chunk of the money that I've made has been from risk arbitrage. So I love it when there's a whole bunch of deals out there because it's more opportunity. But right now, I haven't been doing much with risk arbitrage because I'm making good deals to trade. The cash ones are no good. It's got to be the ratios.
All right, and how are margin on those? If when you're doing that, does it eat up? If you're doing the arb on the stocks on the takeover, do they get?
Well, it depends on your brokerage. I mean, at
Okay.
Bright, I'm using firm capital, so it's different. But if you're at a brokerage, I think it's going to eat up on both sides. So yeah, it's difficult for a retail trader because you're going in for small amounts, so you want to put on some size. And if you only got 4-to-1 intraday or 2-to-1 intraday in a worst case, it's tough sometimes to trade these. Obviously you always have the possibility in a risk arb situation the deal falls apart, and that could be real ugly depending on which side you are on. I mean, if you can predict it and you can make some money on those, but usually when the deals fall apart, the risk arbs lose some money. So because they're coming in and they're looking to make make when the deal closes or day trading off of it, it's the spreads off of it. But if intraday news comes out, the deal falls apart, that can be a mess for risk arbs.
Kors has been in a trading range here, real tight over the last 3-4 sessions, and then going back also to the end of August here. And that trading range has been for the most part, from 71.66 to 74.59. He had a little spike above 75 here. So really no direction here. You can draw a line under all those lows and then draw a line across those tops at 74.50. Long consolidation after a move up. So if you're a trend follower, which I not always have, it's a consolidation and move higher. If you're looking for this to break down, breaches 71.50, you could see some more downside here in KORS.
Let's go to some of the ratings. There was a decent number of ratings this morning, and I want to start with Nutanix catching a big downgrade in price target cut this morning from Susquehanna. NTNX is the symbol, downgrading there to negative price target cut from 55 to 33.
The stock chart looks completely broken here. It broke when we went through 50. That was really where it was trying to hold. Yes, we chopped around there a few times, but it hasn't been able to get back up over it. Now the trend is clearly not your friend here. So here's a stock that was very loved for a long time, but it looks broken. I mean, you had a stock that was in April 2017, $15. And over the course of a year, it ran up to 60, so quadrupled. Now it's coming in. So I don't see anything till I get to 40. Maybe at 40, that's where we broke out from back. If I go just the month and back in March, I don't know. I think it's pretty open to 40.
Yeah, I mean, I remember looking at this one last week. I know it had some bad news last week. I can't remember what day it was. And I was thinking, well, maybe it will hold a little bit of a pop, but maybe that was on Wednesday. But Dennis, I can give you one level ahead of there. I mean, it's nothing to hang your hat on unless you're short here. Going until you had a pair of lows in March at 42.12 and 42.14. So if you want to, it hasn't hit that yet in the pre-market. So it's one of those scenarios where, if I want to cover short, wouldn't be trying to long in this one, but if I wanted to cover short, get that bid out there, 42.20. See what happens. If it, the longer it takes to get to that level, more than you got a chance of a rebound. I think after that, after 42.14, your next daily low comes in at 38.51. That's a solid $4 away. Dennis, you like to mention psychological levels of 40, but the charts do indicate a double bottom back at that 42.12 to 14 level from the beginning of March.
Where were we going? Oh, ratings. We're
Ratings.
still going through.
Ratings.
BILI. Talk that
BILI.
one because our chat follows the stock pretty closely. Downgraded Morgan Stanley here today. That's your catalyst stock is trading down. Spinner was pointing out it seems like a lot of these rallies have been sold. And yeah, HUYA, now we're breaking through. This is interesting now. So it's been pulled in 25. Let's go to BILI first. We're going to go to
Yeah,
HUYA.
you confused me there.
So BILI ran into a wall of resistance at 14, could not get through it. It kept trying to bump its head up there against it, could not get through it. Now it's given it all back, the entire run basically that we had from September, the bounce back. It never really got out of its downtrend, but now it's downgraded by Morgan. I mean, 11.11 was a low in September the 11th. Maybe that's where you're testing here today, but the story is still broken. It never really got unbroken.
Dennis, you're mentioning that area, that 11.11 low was accompanied by 1, 2, 3, 4 other lows between 11 even 11.35. So if you're holding out here for a little bit of meat on the bone here, if you short this, I'd look for the lower 11s. On a rebound, a lot of people would love to see yesterday's low of 12.36. Not sure if we are going to see that, but once again, you had the rally, the bump up, the consolidation, found resistance at the same place it did at the end of August, and now is turning lower. And what was the other one that you wanted to look at? HUYA?
Yeah, let's look at this. This 25, this has been holding this forever. And I said, hey, you know where your out is at least. And it was 24.19. That was the low basically of the whole move. Well, we're going to test that here today. And this now looks like it's going to break down. Look at the lows from the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Isn't that incredible? 25 has just been bouncing at the level. 25, 25, 25. You can play 25 to 26 probably 5, 6, 7 times here in the last 5 days. Now, you know what? It looks like that 25 to 26 is going to probably be 25 is going to be resistance here now, I think. So I actually would look at this from the short side if it was to rally up near 25.
And if you're looking to bring the issue in at its August 15th low, 24.19. That's only 21 cents away, and that set the foundation for the rally back to the $30. But consolidation, break it through the lows of the move. The only number I have for you there is 24.19, and then I'm looking at IQ here. Same thing, trading range here, now down 74 cents. What you want to keep an eye on here is 24.58. That was your low on August 15th. So if you're looking for the low of the move in IQ.
Yeah, and you know what? You can draw some comparisons here. So look at this chart of HUYA. Sure. Now go look at your chart, and Tilray is going to be exaggerated version of this. So, but this is how these things go. Tilray, we said 100 when it was 107. I think it's going to see 100 here, maybe even in the pre-market. But they go parabolic, so it went from 20 to 50. So yeah, it didn't go from 20 to 300, but it went parabolic, and then it broke. And for 4 or 5 days in a row, HUYA went down. It eventually tried to bounce, but when the dust settles 3 months later, it cannot come back. The story is broken. I think HUYA is eventually $18 again. I think the story is broken here now. It's value. It's a valuation issue. It's not, there, and the growth investors aren't interested in it anymore. I think your Tilray is going to be the same thing. You see this huge run up here. You're going to see some, and like I said, as a day trade here, I could argue the 97. I think you could bounce somewhere in here, 97, $100. So, but I think if I look at this 3 months later, I think it's going to look a lot like the HUYA. You're going to have some nice bounces in here, but the overall trend is going to be down now. And bounces, wicked bounces probably to be sold. I think when I look at it in, let's say, December, even though I know you got a legalization story happening in Canada in October, but this bubble already burst. We went from 300 to 102. I don't think you're ever getting back to 300 again. And I don't think you might ever even get back to 200 again. And I think when I look at this back in December or January, let's say 4 months from now, I think this thing's going to be $50 or $60 or less.
And overhead supply
it's a day trade. I like this from 97, so I think you could bounce. So I might trade it from the bounce side today, 97 to 100. Takes out 97, then I get nervous though.
I met George. He says he's looking for a bounce too in Tilray. George, I can remember that day that it gapped up and went to 300. I said that you were like, I'm going to short this gap. I don't know when or if you got the locator, the short, and you probably took 30, 40 cents worth of, or dollars worth of heat on it here. But, you know, the gap and go in that day, I think that was the day I was out that it went to 300. But just a quick update on NBEV here. Continues to, is now under $5. You well below the low from Friday. You took out that 521 move, big volume here. 1.4 million shares have traded, just getting pounded here. People that tried to pick them out. And that's the other thing. Like when these stocks, when they have these runs, okay, and like you missed it, there's so many people that are like, oh, I'm going to get this on the pullback. And then so you got a lot of.
Those are the people that always lose money on these, Joel. Those are the people that, like, you know, are waiting. I've been those people before, and I'm still those people sometimes. But it's those people. It's the story is now broken. So now you're trying to buy the broken story. But meanwhile, actually, the money, easy money, was made chasing it. It was made chasing it earlier on when the story was still hot. Soon as Tilray went from 300 to 150 that one day, it broke on all these. And you gave it another shot. The NBEV opened way up the next day. But you kind of knew, like, eventually the story was going to break. And when you get the leader breaking, well, maybe it took a day for some of the other ones to follow suit, but they did. So, I mean, now you're coming in here. Yeah, can you bounce? Sure. Is this thing going back to $8 to $10? I don't, not my opinion. But yeah, obviously, I'm just an opinion, so stocks can do anything. But I think now you got a lot of people caught. You got a lot of overhead supply. You got a lot of people burned. So everybody who's chasing it up on Friday, late to the party, is down water, and I don't think they're getting their money back. So now you're under 5. I was saying maybe this could bounce at 5. It's where it becomes marginable. Maybe that's where they defend it. But you also were $1.70 2 weeks ago. So really, I mean, it's nothing stopping it from continuing to go down here. So I think, you know, it's more of a coin flip here at 5 than it is like a good buy or a good sell.
What do they do? 20%. So it's what are they gonna? Is it gonna open it and then halt it right away because of?
Well, the circuit breakers are different for all kinds of,
Right, okay.
and it has to move a certain percent in a certain amount of time. So
Okay.
it's different depending on the stock. Like your big caps, some of them are only 3% moves in 5 minutes. Some of the smaller ones are different tiers of it for the limit up, limit down. Some of them I believe are 20%, but within 5 minutes. So if this thing was to open and then rally 20% in 5 minutes, it would probably halt. But if it did in 6 minutes, it wouldn't halt. So it's a time thing too. So it's not just a matter of it. It's not like the old school days. S&Ps fall a certain amount, they halted no matter what. You know what time they did it. And a 5-minute pause, they don't pause them unless it does it in a rapid succession. So, which is why I've argued against. I've written against this before. It's kind of structured in a weird way because when you have news on a stock, you'll see like the stock can't move to where it wants to go. Intraday news comes out, and it's like, oh, we got a 10% halt. We got another 10% halt. The stock opens up at 10% and another 10% halt, and it can't adjust. So it's like, you know, artificially impeding price discovery. So I think the circuit breakers were necessary because we saw what happened during the flash crash. It does help in those, you know, liquidity events that we've seen before. But when you have all of a sudden, you know, a smaller stock breaking out with news, the price discovery process actually is impeded by the limit up, limit down. So they need to do some adjustments to that yet.
All right, for all you guys that are putting stocks up in the chats here, we got Spencer keeping it a tidy list here, and we're going to get to them at 9 o'clock here, trying to cover the other content we had slated for the show, but we will get to your symbols at the 9 o'clock hour.
There were some other ratings, though. Interesting that BMO had a big note downgrading a whole bunch of restaurant stocks, but I think only one of them is really trading this morning. That is Darden Restaurants. DRI downgraded from market perform to underperform. They cut their price target, did BMO from 105 to 96 on Darden Restaurants.
Texas Roadhouse, they downgraded as well. That is offered down. Hasn't made a trade yet, but it's offered down $1.20, which will open it down 1.5%. Everybody keeps downgrading Texas Roadhouse. How many downgrades? I mean, we've talked about this before. In the last month, how many downgrades have we seen in Texas Roadhouse? I feel like the analysts have just been like piling on this thing. And you know what? It doesn't go down overall.
Let's see.
Like it's still only $4 off the high.
Since September 10th. So that was exactly 2 weeks ago. We've had 5 downgrades since September 10th.
What did they say in the quarter that everybody hates them all of a sudden now? I mean, this is a stock that's still in a clear uptrend, and they just gang up on this thing. They do not like Texas Roadhouse, the analysts. The market is like shrugging it off because if you would tell me the Texas Roadhouse was going to get 5 downgrades in the last 3 weeks, and the stock was only going to be 5 points off the all-time high, I'd be like, well, that math doesn't add up, but it does. Like, Joel, what do you think? I mean, this thing's held up well, considering the analysts keep beating on it every day.
Well, have you ever ate there, first of all?
No, have you?
I think I ate there once, and I didn't like the steak. But anyways, what
Spencer, have you ate there?
Nope.
Where is one? Where
they
are
have them in our area. I think
there
there's
is?
one out in
They're not
Troy.
just in Texas?
Yeah.
I think it's like a knockoff Outback, which is itself a knockoff of a real steakhouse. So it's like a knockoff of a knockoff. I don't really know.
I've never ate at one.
Me neither.
I can't comment on
couldn't
food.
say.
I can just comment that the pricing action hasn't been that bad considering how many times it's been downgraded. So what do you think, Mr. Elconin?
It's no Ponderosa, first of all, I'll tell you that. what
Ponderosa. When is the last time you set foot? I haven't been to Ponderosa since I was a kid.
There's one.
Are they still around?
Yeah, they kind of changed their format a little bit. But could you give me this? I'm sorry, I'm doing TXRD.
TXRH.
Oh, okay. That was close. All right. Well, one thing we talk about it, if stocks don't go down, on bad news or downgrades and stuff, it's a halfway decent sign, but a lot of red bars in here. You had a nice run up. You got a pre-market low of 70.27 here. When's the last time we sniffed $70? Try to hold out maybe some daily lows at 69.39. Ooh, we're pretty close to that right now. We're at 69.48. So that was your low on September 5th. Below that, you got another buck drop to 68.06, but the stock did have a nice long run here. So I don't mind the analysts coming out and, if you actually bought it when the analysts told you to buy it and now they're telling you to sell it, it's not that far off its recent high of the move at 75.24. And just with this darted, and just as a general rule, what they must have had earnings on Thursday, right? When they popped up and made a new all-time high and everyone piled in on the breakout. It opened at 117.89, ticked 122.62, went all the way to 124. So if you were shorting off the hop, you definitely took some heat. But when it came back through the open on that day, 122.62, even if you had a sell stop to get short, and sure you didn't get that 122.62 execution, but getting short in that area, boom, you got over $10 on the trade. So earnings days, we don't, we'll talk about it more there. Earnings days, those highs and the lows are really important in there, boy. Darted, DRI put it in an all-time high.
Well, we got 3 minutes left here. I didn't really have that much else on my list. You kind of got through the whole thing here, Joel. So, Spencer,
we have a lot. We have a lot of tickers in the chat. So let's just start.
Let's grab a couple.
Let's start with them, and then we can get rid of dump Dennis in a few and keep on rolling. So let's start with BEDU, going chronological order from earliest to most recent. So
is this one of the Chinese education stocks?
Yes, it is.
Those things were wild last week, and there was a negative note coming out, I believe, out of Citi, and that marked a low. And these things exploded after that. I actually lost some money because I was trading it because I was like, oh, Citi's going to knock these down. And they did knock them down. They started going up. But if you look, TAL had a nice little rally here. EDU, which is your leader, I would say, has had a nice rally here in the last few days. And then you got BEDU, Bright Scholar Education. I'm not sure if this is a Chinese. It's Chinese too? I don't follow this one closely. I'm just assuming.
Yep.
Yeah, so these are kind of all moves. So EDU is always your leader here. So if you're trading these, always keep an eye on EDU because it seems like it's the leader. TAL too, those two. Those are the two big ones. And then the other ones all seem to change. There's like a dozen of these things. Anyways, they all got beat up. There was a negative note from Citi. That marked the low. And they've kind of been up since. I don't know if there's news here, BEDU.
I don't think so.
A little bit of a short squeeze, maybe.
Is there can you see the bid and offer on that? Because it just traded it just traded a ton of volume right at 13. Actually, it just traded 13 like all day long. And then now you got the pop. So is that, I see it's on 100 shares. Yeah. So it's nothing, right? Is it bid up there or anything?
No, nothing. No market. Just somebody bought 100 shares. This is after hours too on Friday.
Yeah.
So it's not even nothing this morning. Not even shares traded this
morning. 13. I mean, I don't know. Above 13, maybe a buyer, below 13 seller. But I mean, it's just that don't pay a lot to that 1350 print. If you do go into rally mode, since a big gap down day, this was back in August, You had a 13.71 high on one day, but to me, the big number is $14. 14.03 was your high on August 16th, but a lot of stock traded at $13. So I'm not paying a lot of attention to that 13.50 print.
All right, Dennis, 9 o'clock. Any last words?
Yeah, I'm going to go trade. So we will catch you guys tomorrow here. And balance update is G's 400,000 to sell, AT&T 250,000 to buy. That's moving up there, but that's just countering its move from Friday. Which from that, Citigroup 87,000 to sell, Bank of America 122,000 to sell. Those are some notable ones.
All right. Adios.
We didn't catch you guys. So Joel and Spencer can continue with ticker time.
All right, let's go to Steelcase. They reported Thursday afternoon. We're getting SCS. We're getting a question about them in the chat.
Is the question is where are they headquartered? Brentster, Steelcase Holdings, SCS. Any guesses?
No, it's somewhere in the great state of Michigan.
Oh, Spencer, you're catching on to me.
I'm catching on.
Yep. Grant.
Is it? No, not Monroe, Michigan.
No, that's Lazy Boy.
I know it's Lazy Boy. I don't know.
Everyone's Googling it. It's Grand Rapids.
That was my second guess.
Grand Rapids. Boom. Let's see here. Gap and go on Friday. Man, traded big volume. Closed at 1905. The high was 1936. You got follow through, but they're like 8 shares, 1 share is 128 shares. So not a lot of volume on this one. What I would say is I'd like to see the hold the close. I'm not going to be buying here at 1950. Comes down to $19. 1905 was the close. See if you can hold that. On the monthly chart, if you're looking for continuation on this, 2 monthly highs over $20, 2013 and 2032. This was back from the end of the year in 2015.
All right, Mondelez, MDLZ.
Mondelez, food stocks really haven't been doing a whole lot. Let's see if this is followed suit here. The reason I know that is that Kraft Heinz. I'm getting sick of looking at that one. Mondelez looking okay. Flat here at 43.94. This is trying to break out. Had a good day on Friday. Friday, you got the 44.35. I'll just say the last 2 times it got in the 44 handle, it hasn't closed over 44, but pretty darn close here. So I really need to clear 44.35. That was Friday's high, but maybe some just consolidation for another leg higher here. But it looks nice. It isn't Ackman. This is one that he's been in there for a while, right?
I
think so.
Okay. I think you're right, but I'm not positive on that. BlackBerry set to report earnings Friday before the open. Let's look at BB.
It is BB now. They haven't changed their symbol again.
Nope.
Just a quiet consolidation ahead of earnings. Had a recent low. I know Left has been on this one for a while. It's trying to make a move. I really see ahead of the earnings. Like to see it clear 1045. This has really been in a tight range lately here. So 1044, your high on Friday. 1045 recent high, the move. But where are you going to go? You're going to go up to 1063, 1065. That was another pair of highs. So tight range here ahead of earnings and just consolidating. Not a lot to say about BB.
What about eBay?
eBay. Boom. We'll do eBay and we'll do Square here. Nice consolidation here. Probably got hit after earnings. Trading range, really holding support here, just under $34. We're trading at down 14 cents here. So leaning on the breaking down here on this one after all these lows at 34. If you're bullish this one, you want to see it, boom, regain 44 very, very quickly, clear the closing price. Underneath that, a couple daily lows at 33.58 and 33.75. Let's take a quick look at Square. I know I saw that one here. That's trading down in 82 cents. Better keep an eye on the low from Friday. Actually, there's a pair of lows at 84.23, 84. Oh, no, let me get the daily here. The low on Friday was, why is my switching charts here on me? Hold on one second. Low on Friday, 86.16. trading down. I don't know. This thing looks really tired here. He had one low at 84. I don't like this. Break it down through 84. You can see on the dailies, it just, you had that sprint from 70 to 85 and hardly took a breath. A lot of times when stocks go up through an area easily and then they come back down through an area easily. Don't like the chart on Square here to the long side. So we'll keep an eye on that one today.
All right, let's try to move quick here.
Sure.
MG, Mary Golf.
Man, you guys are just coming out with stocks that you never heard of. Mistress Group. Consolidation holding the long end of the range, 2166, currently trading 2179. Don't want to see it under 2166. Gap to fill the 2084.
Here, a low priced one here, David's Tea, DTEA.
Yeah, this is the one you were talking about, right?
Uh,
They were coming out with a pot tea
yeah.
or teapot or something like that.
Yeah, teapot, that's it.
Oh boy, here's another one where you're keeping an eye on the open. 490 open, sprinted over $5 and then just got walloped here. Went down to 240. Big volume on this one. I mean, I think after short seeing this trade up to 535 on Friday, and now they're seeing that 240 low and then a trio of lows at 2.25, 230. I think that was support for 3 days. It was support on Friday. Trading up 15 cents in the pre-market. I like it as support to cover a short.
Marinas Pharmaceuticals, MRNS.
So give me that again.
MRNS, Mary Ralph NS.
Oh, big move, continued follow through. Just be aware this stock has been higher for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days in a row. With the biggest update being on Friday with the big amount of volume, 2 million shares. I don't see this trading 2 million shares ever. So keep an eye on trading up at $9, up 22 cents. You want to see it boom, clear out 9. Looks like you got a little bit of seller at 9 because that's been the high since like 8:15. Didn't trade much in the after hours. $9. Let's see if you can clear that. Not much until you get to 987, but clear out that seller at 9, and this one looks good. And also, when you see stocks just having, higher highs and higher lows and higher closes, if you're looking to protect yourself here, I like to keep an eye on the highest low of the move. That's way down at 791.
All right. One extra pod stock we didn't hit was Aurora ACBFF. This is OTC, but there.
We did talk about that a little bit.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Okay.
They kind of got a little bit, right? They're thinking of getting a U.S.
Yeah.
listing
Oh, right.
here. Right.
Okay.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, my gut would say watching all these other pot stocks go down, I would be like, whew, I'm glad this one's holding up here. And, so I'd be more, if it was long, any kind of this run here, we were at 445. We doubled since the middle of October. I don't know. Let's just, if you're really looking for this thing to keep going, then get it over $10 and I'm a believer. If not, you've had sellers the last 3 days between 947, 950, holding up as we speak though.
Cheesecake Factory.
Cake. The old Cheesecake Factory. They refused to open a store in Michigan for a long time, even though the guy was from Michigan. The servings are just too big at this place. But besides my slant on it, $52 is a pretty important support level. Closed at 52.32. Boy, 52.31, 52.39, 52.41, 52.35. Absolutely incredible. This thing has to hold. Let's call it 52 even. If not, you do have some downside here. A little bit maybe in the 50. 52 is just, you can't ignore that level. It's been good support here for the better part of the month.
We've only got a couple more here. Bungie. We looked at that a few times last week or in the last couple weeks.
BG. Well, I hope we talk bullish about it. It's had a nice run. Closed at 66.73, 66.99 high. You did have a poke at 67 here back at the beginning of August. So I would say, cleared 67 here. You got another move to the upside, but right now It was resistance back in August. We'll see if it'll be a resistance again today.
And let's wrap with Nike. They are set to report earnings. What is the day? The 25th. So that would be tomorrow after the close. NKE.
NKE made a new all-time high, battled back from the Kaepernick commercial. And Tiger was wearing a Nike shirt, right? He's back with Tiger.
I didn't even know that he still wore Nike.
He won his first tournament. So that's the good news. I mean, if you're holding this thing into earnings, it's had a major run. Since its last earnings report, they're really going to need to blow it away. I think just for today, if you're long going into the report, just keep an eye that all-time high. That was made on Friday at 86.04. Your all-time closing high was 85.55 or trading below that. So I think you might want to see I would say if I was long saying going ahead of the report, maybe lightening up, they're really going to blow things away to continue this move higher.
All right, that's going to be it for us today. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you missed any part of it, you can catch our podcast. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, or Google Play, or just rewatch the show on YouTube. Thanks to everyone who joined us in our chat rooms on YouTube and premarket.benzinga.com. The premarket.benzinga.com group room is active all day. So just because we're not there, just because the show is not on, doesn't mean people aren't there. That chat's going pretty much all day into the close and afterwards as well into the after hour session. So check that out at premarket.benzinga.com. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Hope you guys have had a good morning. Real quick, everything we say on this show is for informational purposes only and not meant to be investing advice. And on that note, we're going to wrap. So have a good one, and we'll see you on Tuesday.